Well, boys and girls, I've tried to start my weekend off on a good foot, but um, we're we're gonna take a ride. Who knows? This isn't gonna be your regular hour story, I don't think, because if you've noticed, we have somebody. I'm not sure what the hell's going on here yet. We'll figure that out. This is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid, and a very early edition of Stirring the Pot with my very special guest, DeMan, aka Danos. Mr. DeMan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fine due to the fact of the COVID-19, and I don't trust any human beings. You will be having an interview with Danos, and he's right there.
Boys and girls, this is yet another first. I should have expected nothing less. Well, sir, I would actually like to start with, we are in a very odd time across the globe, and I appreciate your time. This is whenever I got the response of, okay, fine, I'll be on your stinking show, I lost my absolute shit. So I want to start with, we're in a very topsy-turvy time right now. How's DeMan and fam, if you will, through this whole Kincaid, never mind. This whole Kincaid thing, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing absolutely fine. I have unlimited supply of toilet paper. I have an unlimited supply of food. I have an unlimited supply of a lot of things. The only thing I did lose was I no longer have some of my handmaids because of from Lone Survivor and on. So, but I can replace them. They're replaceable. It's not a problem.
Woo! The handmaids. I think I broke 3 ribs when all of that went down. It was amazing, and we're definitely going to dive into that. Oh God, Lone Survivor was such a grand time, might I? Well,
I would have to also interrupt this interview. The fact that you're wearing that T-shirt disgusts me right now.
Well, it's it's Nathaniel Carr. Why would that be disgusting?
Why during my time that you're talking to the greatest performer ever? This right now will have you like almost at 1 million views on YouTube, and you decide to wear that shirt. We're gonna lose ratings on that.
Well, in all honesty,
let's move on. But we'll move on. I'll forgive you for right now.
Okay. Well, in all honesty, I'm wearing a Nathaniel Carr shirt, and I'm talking to a plastic doll. So, hey, tit for tat, if you will.
You're talking to the Texas Strength Champion and also the American Coliseum Champion right now. That's who you're talking to.
Oh, I apologize, sir. No disrespect. I did not mean any disrespect, because I know when Dano snaps his fingers, shit happens. So, for the boys and girls that don't know of DeMan, where the F have you been? Look that man up. We will get into the Twitter and all of that stuff later. But for the boys and girls that do know DeMan, we know quite a bit, not enough. So we try to maybe pull back the curtain a little bit. But with DeMan, I don't think there's any freaking curtain to pull back. So I don't know where the hell this is going to go. But we like to pull back the entertainment value a little bit. And we talk about character. We talk about, maybe where you come up from, where you trained, and if DeMan's your real name. And I'm sure you won't tell us either way, but those are the kind of things we like to talk to the fans. If that's something you're up to, is that something we can accomplish here, sir?
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool. But before I do start, because you are DeMan and Danos, I have to make sure that my notifications are on the low. That's the last thing I need is a notification coming through this mess. Okay, so Mr. DeMan, again, a pleasure having you on this show, because I don't see you doing many interviews. I have watched your GoPro interview. Quite interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I watched that. Of course, it's DeMan. Talked in length about different things. But I noticed that, sometimes when you talk to DeMan, you got to edit things down. I'm very curious on that specific interview. How long was that interview, sir?
That interview, I believe, was almost close to 3 hours.
Wow.
We talked about a lot of things. Now,
your character draws people right in. You suck us right in. Somehow, some way, you've just got that magic pull with your look, with your words, with your presence, your charisma, everything that goes along with it. And I would actually like to talk about, you know, you on that interview specifically, we're talking the stuff you grew up with, and we talk very quickly at the shows. And I mentioned that we had something in common. I grew up on the AWA, the WCCW, the NWA, WCW on that transition when they were coming up. And man, Mr. Dan the Man, I feel we have a connection there. That's your go-to wrestling? Is that where you kind of build? You love character, obviously. Is that where you kind of take from? Is the old school stuff?
I take all my stuff from that era. I grew up watching the NWA first. I didn't watch WWF at the time. So it was mostly the NWA, and then in the mornings, Saturday mornings, it was the AWA. So I was a big fan of Colonel De Beers, and I was a fan of Nick Botwinkle. Nick Botwinkle was my guy. The Ganyas, you know what I mean? And then I would watch, then around Saturday afternoon, it would be, you know, the NWA, and then I would watch 7 o'clock, the UWF, and then it would switch. It would be the NWA, and then you watch World Class Championship Wrestling. And then, what was it also? And then I started getting into WWF, only because Harley Race went to WWF. I'm a big Harley Race fan as well. And that's what I study all those guys, like Nick Botwinkle, Flair, Harley Race, you know, and more for the villains, it's like Colonel De Beers, you know, Tully Blanchard, you know, all that stuff. But I grew up watching all that, you know. But then as you evolve, you start watching. The way I do it, I get the psychology and the promos and the characters from the old school, but then all the hot indie darling moves that, you know, stuff, I watch that. So I'm not like, oh, I hate all that stuff. I watch everything. So
yeah. And to evolve as a wrestler, and I'm sure there was absolutely an evolution of your character, to evolve as a wrestler, you cannot be closed-minded. You have to be open-minded and accept what there is from era to era, from old school to new school, being the more flippy-do stuff and whatnot, and the acrobatic kind of stuff. You have to soak all of that in and kind of keep your eye on the pulse, because if you don't, and I'm just saying this as a fan, so I imagine as a wrestler, you would want to do this even more, because you could evolve your character and utilize many things, the little nuanced things, like the handmaids, if you will. If you don't keep your pulse on the pop culture as well, you don't get to use those things. You I have to say, do you watch like every single movie, every single cartoon, every single wrestling? I mean, you have your eyes on many things that whoa, what happened? I think we lost our video. The video poof?
I'm sorry. I knew it had to be him. I apologize. For some reason, Bobby Ocean was calling me and disrupted me. He knew I was having an interview, and he decides to call. I apologize. I thought I had him blocked.
Well, three things. Never apologize for one, Mr. Ocean, because we, the fans, we absolutely adore Bobby Ocean. Second off, all I see is your chest right now. And third off, you talk very eloquently, and still see your chest, but that's, hey, there we go. A little bit more. There we go. Ooh, look at that face. Holy cow. And third off, you talk very eloquently and very smoothly for without moving your lips at all. That's a gift. I don't know how you do that. But we were talking about your character and your eye on pop culture and all of the wrestling. You watch everything, don't you?
I watch all types of movies, all types. I watch the foreign flicks. I watch anime, cartoons, TV shows, anything. And if something catches my eye, I watch it. And I can say things, and you know, everybody jokes like all Dan the Man does is he quotes movies and quotes this and quotes that. Some people get it, some people don't. Some people go, why? He just said some cool stuff. And some people go, I've heard that before. Does it really matter? No, but it still makes an impact.
Absolutely, because you do it choosingly, if you will. You, you're a walking promo. It doesn't. It never stops. Is that something you've had to acquire over your time in wrestling, or was using your words something that kind of came easy to you because you speak very well, and at us, might I say?
When I started, I was just a promo guy. I was a manager when I first started. Well, I started in ECPW years ago, and when I came in, they, you do your typical training, but when they had practicing for promos, I had that down because I can just talk anyway, before wrestling, just acting or doing sales and doing whatever. So when it came to pretty much, and I do motivational speaking for people as well.
Oh, no kidding.
So when I got into the wrestling biz, it was, okay, Dan, can you cut a promo? And I cut a promo, boom, on time, no problem. So then I started, I wasn't the greatest at that moment. So it was, well, just manage. So I would manage and I'd be the mouthpiece for all these big guys, all 6 foot, whatever, 300 plus pounds. So I would represent them. And then I was getting more heat than the guys that I had, So they were like, all right, well, you're going to do your thing. And I'm like, okay. So a lot of people get mad because I do cut promos, and they'll be like, can you just go to the ring without talking? And I go, no.
Nope.
No. Or they'd be like, oh, you got so much time. I don't need music. Just give me the microphone. And I will walk and talk to the ring. That's my thing. So, and I get, there are certain things, certain places they don't want me to say or don't talk about this. I'm like, oh, fine. I can work around anything. But at the end of the day is they remember me. That's all that matters.
Every single time, no matter where you go, and I've seen you at multiple promotions, you draw lava heat, like white hot heat, no matter where you go, and no matter where I've seen you perform. It could be a debut, it could be somewhere where you've been. You, my friend, just know how to amp up the crowd. And we, the fans, we love to boo the piss out of you and maybe pee and poo on you a little bit, but that's from you walking out that curtain and you're dumping a pile of poo on us, like from the get. It's like it's like when I believe it was Vince and Stephanie. I could be wrong on that. I can't remember the quite circumstance, when they're in the middle of the ring and the poo, it just comes dropping out of the ceiling and right onto them in the middle of the ring. That's what you do to us when you come out that curtain. So the connection is there from the very first second. I don't know how long it's built to do that, but could you please take us, the fans, on a ride of how long it took to build up your connection with the fans? And I know you said you're a good talker and it didn't take very long from a manager to get into that ring, but take us on a little journey of how you you really connected with us, if you could, sir.
Well, basically what I do is if I go out there the first time and I know if I get a little bit of booze, I'll tell you a little secret. While I'm in the ring, I study the entire audience. The entire audience. I know the who's who. I know who's really amped up. I know who's not interacting. I know everything. So if you're standing there and there's a baby right there, guess who I'm going after? I'm going after the baby, because the baby is going to be like, what? So now I attack the baby and I badmouth the baby. The entire crowd's like, oh, why did you do that? So now I've riled everybody up, or, someone playing on their phone. That means they're not paying attention to the show because maybe they came to see somebody. So I'll go after them. Or but at the same time, I attack the entire audience, because it's like they have their favorites. I'm not their favorite, and I feed off that, And now there are some shows where no matter what I do, they're still going to love me. But I address it to them. Like, for example, PvP fans. PvP fans, no matter what I do, I can burn someone and they'll stand up and cheer. But we have that bond where I'm like, hey, listen, we all know how this goes. No matter what I do, you're still going to like me, but I still have to treat you like crap. And they just love it. So,
They do. And the ones that cheer you, they are very vocal with the standing up and cheering for one Dan the Man. I've seen it in small shows. I've seen it in really big shows. And it doesn't matter. Your fans that you have acquired over time are very dedicated. I'm using that word strongly because I fight with, may it be on Facebook, may it be at events. I verbally go back and forth with some of the people that cheer for you, and they are relentless. They will not back down. They don't care. They're cheering for you, whether anybody likes it or not. And it's almost like a book out of Dan DeMan. Cheer for me. And they do. They cheer for you, and they don't give a crap. It's like an underground cult. What have you done to the people, sir?
Yes, it's pretty much what it is. It's like a cult. Yes. And I have to admit, that is like a cult following. And I'm like the Jim Jones. I just don't give him Kool-Aid.
Oh, man. My dad, I thought I knew my father, but he loves Dan the Man. And I take that to all the shows. But man, oh man, does he love when you come out. Anytime I say that Dan the Man's on a card when we're driving to the show, and he'll be like, so who's working tonight? And I'll be blah, 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 blah. And he'll be like, a him and a ha. But then I say Dan the Man. He's like, good. Can't wait. He loves your character.
You know what?
Go ahead.
I think I met you and your dad at some show in Hartford. I wrestled Dickie Moon and Sammy Diaz. I think that was the first time I met you and your dad, where they were playing. This is so weird. It was the show where it was at the show where you go out and they had sound effects. Yes. So I get out there and they don't know who I am. And all I do, I climb up this ladder into their little DJ booth and I cut the promo on the DJ in the booth. I'm like, do me a favor. Do not play sound effects and do not do it. And the crowd was like, what did he just do? And then I did my own introduction and did everything else. And then the match proceeded. It's like that shock value because they didn't know what was going to happen. And I kind of do that a lot where I have a pet peeve where if I'm on a wrestling show and you're doing music and you basically, you probably see it on my Facebook where I hashtag man groupies. If you man groupie me, basically saying that you will cater to one person, because they're the hot thing right now and you treat the other people like crap, that's where I consider you a man groupie. So when you turn man groupie on me, I call you out. And I know I did it to another person and they wanted, the music guy or music woman wanted to fight me, where I gave them my music and they decided to play something else that had nothing to do with me. So I said, cut the music off. And I made it clear that they were the worst music people I have ever seen in my life. And I hope that you walk into traffic and get hit by a bus. And the crowd lost it. But that person was like, who do you think he is? And blah, blah, blah. And, hey, it is what it is.
I spoke, and that you are correct. Now, I've seen you perform sometime before that, but that's like really the first day that we did all meet together. Like, hey, Mr. Dan the Man, how you doing? Don Kincaid, my pop and stuff like that. And I know we knew of each other, but I think that was correct on you saying that. That was probably the day we really met. I've spoken that fucking show, Mr. Dan the Man. I've spoken about that to Mr. Dickie Moon. A pleasure to have him on the show. And that show specifically, it was a Lucha Libre show. It was the first of their kind, never ran a show before. It was the first of my kind of going to a show like such. And for the boys and girls that weren't there, there was Dan the Man comes out. And it didn't matter if it was Dan the Man, Dickie Moon, Sammy Diaz, you name it. Whoever came out, the music was incorrect. They played whatever the F they wanted. And it was a very Latino based promotion. And the crowd, again, was very Latino based. Myself, my dad, Fogman, and Bruce, we were probably the only 4 white guys in the entire show. They were talking in all Spanish. I had no clue what the hell was going on. Couldn't understand anything, but we were having a blast. But the point being is, Dan the Man comes out and, like he says, they're not even playing his right music. And even when the wrestling was going on, the guy is like doing the hey, and he's doing this thing, and I'm like, what in the F world? Where are we right now? But Dan the Man, he he held it like no other guy did. Now, well, I'll use a Dickie Moon for an example. Dickie Moon, he danced with the music that was not his, but he ran with it, did his dancing thing, his hippie bit. Sammy Diaz, same thing, came out, had the Puerto Rico flag draped across his back, wrong music, ran with it. Dan the Man, oh, hell no. He goes up and he verbally assaults the guy up in the booth. And man, that crowd absolutely hated you from that second on. And again, sir, you just know how to turn on that magic. And not everybody knows how to do that. And that's very evident in wrestling. You said you take Nick Bockwinkel is your man. The promo section, the words, your portrayal of what you want to put out of your voice. Where does that come from? Is it any specific guy, Dusty Rhodes or Ric Flair or anything like that?
It's a combination of all. It's a Flair, it's a Dusty Rhodes, a Nick Bockwinkel, a Harley Race. It's a combination of all. Like I said, I've studied all of those, studied all of them. So I go, I'll take a little bit of this, and I'll take a little bit of that. Like, for example, like, I like suits. I love to wear suits, 3-piece, 2-piece. I love suits. I love, walking around with nice watches, all that. You don't see that many wrestlers walking around, like that. So when you walk into a building, I like to hear, he must be one of the wrestlers because I'm wearing nice expensive suit, or at the end of the night, they're like, oh, that guy, it's like they don't know the name. At least they know, well, the guy who wore the suit or the guy that wore the robe, he was great. The cheer for me guy. So at the end of the night, if you're going home talking about me, that means I made an impact. So, but yes, for your answer to your question, I just basically take from everybody, like the Flair, like, for example, like, I'll brag about my shoes. That's something Flair would do, but at the same time, when I'm cutting the promos, I'm always Mr. So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so. That's a Nick Bockwinkel thing. If I mention, I love using this part here. If I'm wrestling anybody, I go, in order to beat me, any human being. That's the thing that Harley Race used to always say. And the way you hold the belt, it's a Tully Blanchard thing or a Flair thing. They, hold it around it, hold it. I don't throw it over my shoulder. I don't drape it. You hold a championship the way it should be held,
I've actually noticed that about you, and I am so glad you've brought that up because it's always like it's cupped, like to your stomach area mostly. Like you said, it's not over your shoulder or whatever. You always have it in a very certain position for especially those promo picks. But even when you're in the ring, that thing doesn't go like that. The way you carry yourself and your etiquette as being a wrestler, that doesn't like flip-flop at all. You are very, very equal across the board, very polished on everything you do. Like you're saying, your shoes, your watch, the sunglasses, your attire, the way you're holding the belt. Man, I have to say, and how long have you been in the game at this point? And I mean, we will dive because I'm not that bright and we just kind of jump all over the place. How long have you been in the game at this point, sir?
I've been doing this since 99, but I didn't really get the strive going until like 2000, 2001.
Okay.
2000 going to 2001. That's when I really started doing. Other than that, it was just training and training and training, maybe something there. But from 2000 to 2001, it just took off with I had no breaks after that. But due to the situation we're in now, now I got the biggest break ever.
Mm-hmm. So, something I've been curious about, because I don't see Dan DeMan taking time off. You have been one of the fortunate ones, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I've only been in the game since, like, I don't know, like heavily into it since probably like 2016. You seem to be one of the fortunate guys, and I'll use Chris Jericho as an example. You don't succumb to injury. Is it due to smart wrestling and just making sure your craft is very on its game, and there, this is your livelihood and the whole 9 yards? Could I compare you to a Chris Jericho in that fact, or am I incorrect?
No, it's fine. I've never had a broken bone. Yes. Do people say I'm immortal? Yes. I've never had a broken bone. Small injuries, minor injuries. Yeah, I had a little bit of them, but they haven't stopped. They never stopped me from not wrestling. Bumps and bruises, they come with the game. But never a broken bone, never anything bad. And if I am injured, no one ever knows. Messed up ankles, still wrestle. I'm an old school guy, so if something is bruised, I just wrap it up and keep going. So
is wrestling your livelihood, or do you have what they call a shoot job, a real job?
No, I have other recreational things that I do, but
okay. You use the word recreational. I will not ask any more questions.
We won't go into that. We won't go into that, but I have political contributions that that take care of me. So.
Holy shit. Wow. Dan DeMan is an influential man. Excuse me. I do not have the COVID, I swear. COVID. You haven't blinked since this interview has started. I'm
focused, Mr. Kincaid. I am focused on this interview.
You are a statue, my friend. Holy cow. Now, I've talked about how long you've been in the game. You've mentioned ECPW, where you started. Now, ECPW has a crazy roster of characters, and Dan DeMan seems to fit right in their whole schedule, if you will. ECPW, could you talk to us, the fans that don't know about it? You're upcoming in it. What kind of company is it? What are they driven? Is it storyline? Is it character? Is it because there's so many facets to wrestling, and you learn different things at different schools and different training grounds, if you will. Talk to us about ECPW, if you could, sir.
ECPW is run by Gino Caruso, the man who trained me, along with Kodiak Bear, along with the Heavy Metal Maniac, Nunzio. Those are the guys that really helped me out to make who I am today. They're a family entertainment wrestling company. Storylines, they do have storylines. I've been involved in a lot of the storylines, from becoming, when I first started, I was part of the group called the Corporate Empire, where I was a ratings guy for public access television. And then I evolved once I lost the tag titles and went into a feud with my partner and went into the cage. My character evolved from wearing a leather suit to wearing fur coats. And I went from being a monotone Agent Smith-like character to now being a fur coat Muhammad Ali-like guy, and then that evolved from being a villain or a bad guy to the fans love me so much to becoming one of the most popular guys on the roster.
Really?
And then I took time off from New Jersey to venture off to the Connecticut, New England territory. And then I came back, but I came back as the cheer for me villain that they were all shocked. And that story went on for, I don't know how long, which made me ECPW the longest reigning ECPW champion for 3 years.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Which also with the storyline of the Team Shazaam, which still lingers on to other companies, where we say it's Team Shazaam okay, because I lost the ECPW championship to a former member of Team Shazaam with the name of Kenny Bangle, which the feud goes on to other companies now.
It does. It does. I haven't been able to personally be at those said shows, but I try to keep my eye on the pulse, and I followed that a little bit here and there. And you know, the cheer for me thing, when you come back to ECPW, that shock value makes the fans flip the F out. And now the company, is that when you became the champion? Is when your cheer for me thing came back, when you took the time off? Is that when your title reign began?
It started slowly. They gave me the lightweight, which
Okay.
I wasn't a lightweight because I don't wrestle that style, but I could still wrestle with anybody.
Mhm.
Then I became tag team champion with Kenny Bango and Corey Dillinger. After they lost, I didn't lose. They lost the tag titles, Kenny and Corey. I became heavyweight champion. So, and then Kenny
Okay.
became television, and then the whole thing where in between Team Shazaam, where I cost Kenny the TV title to give it to Corey, and then of course Kenny beats me for the heavyweight. And then from that moment on, after 3 years, I figured, okay, I've been here long enough. Let them do their thing, and I'm going to venture. I come back here and there, but
Right.
you know.
Yeah, because I do see the cards that they were building. I see a bunch of familiar faces that I know, and I see Dan DeMan on there. Definitely, like you said, I go back there to now. Do you consider your ECPW? Would that be your home? Like when you go back, do you consider going back home? Is that wrong to say, or
Well, I will say it's one of my homes.
okay?
It's one of my homes. It's where I started from. So I guess I can consider that home number one.
Mm-hmm.
Then of course, TOS is home number two, but still, wherever company I go to, if I make it my home, I always try to make it the number one place. So, you
Uh,
know,
yeah, because when you're a champion, doing promos, showing the fans, showing your peers with the social media, which you're very, how do I say, very regular, keeping that social media stuff up. Again, smart portion of being a wrestler and keeping relevant and making your content being seen on a regular basis. But being a champion for a company, people think that, and this is a fan's perspective. I don't claim to know an effing thing behind the curtain. Um, when a guy wins a championship, they win the championship. The next time you see it is usually, and I want to say 8 or 9 times out of 10, is at the next event at the promotion. You don't see them bringing it out on the streets. You don't see them taking pictures. You don't see them cutting promos with the championship. And like you just said, trying to make each company number one that you step into. And that right there, I think to this day, it seems to be a failed art form of wrestling, because wrestling is an art form, but there's also little intricate things that make that whole art form up. And part of it is presenting yourself as a champion for the company. Do you feel that's a lost part of the art in wrestling right now? Because you and only a couple other guys that I know really do that.
I believe so. I think what's happening is it's that nonchalant. Well, it's wrestling. That's the new thing they say. It's wrestling. It's wrestling. Like I said, I follow the old school trait. If you hear me, if I'm your champion, I represent your company, right? And no one's gonna know about your company if I'm not representing it. I mean, you got all your you got all the rest of the people on your roster. That's great, but your champion needs to be represented. Perfect example, Texas Strength. I'm the Texas Strength champion going on 1 year now. I'm 1 year and plus days, whatever, as champion.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do I represent the championship at Texas Strength, I've represented the championship at American Coliseum Wrestling. I've represented the championship up in Malden, Mass, Winchester, all over it. Anywhere I get a chance to represent the championship, I will do it, I represented the championship at Battlefront, and I just as a representative of the company, you have to do it, and it makes the company gets eyes on the prize.
Absolutely. Another thing that might hinder that from happening are promotions that won't let said wrestler who is a champion take that belt and let it visibly be seen from promotion to promotion to promotion. Now, that's one aspect of it. You could maybe kind of talk to us about that if that's even a thing. And not only that, though, you defend the Tessa Strength Championship at ACW and other companies that I've seen. That's another big part of it. So getting back, do you think that the wrestlers are being pulled back by not being able to represent said belt because they don't want it in other companies?
If the promoter says no, then you just say, okay, that's no problem. But there's nothing stopping you from doing making a promo video to keep everybody relevant and what's going on. Even if you don't have the championship, hey, this is me, I'm the champion, or wherever the belt is being at, if it's at a school or at a building, hey, listen, you mind if I hold on to the belt? You got to be assertive. You mind if I take the belts? I can just cut a couple of promos and we just post them online. Yeah, sure. Some people worry because a lot of people become champion and they become fans of themselves, and next thing you know, they run off with the belt, which I think is very unprofessional, but they just want to keep the belt in the office or in their school or their home, so they don't trust anybody. But one bad apple ruins it for everybody else. But then there are some that, hey, you're the champion, take the belt, go represent. And my thing is, when you become champion and you become champion and you never represent it until you get to the show, that I think is bad.
I don't care for that because, again, we as fans, we are so effing easy. Show us a little and it goes a long way.
Exactly.
Again, you haven't blinked one single time. This is really spooking the shit out of me.
Maybe it's the Red Bull I was drinking. Maybe.
Oh my goodness. So there's been a bunch of firsts today with this interview with Dan DeMan, because I've never started any earlier than noontime on the weekends, but I've had some personal business going on the last 2 days, had to cancel some of those, reschedule them for later on, like maybe next weekend or something. I still got 3 left to try to reschedule. So I've had like a day and a half off of my interviews, and I jump hard right into 11 a.m. Saturday morning, Dan DeMan. Now, Dan, you are, or Mr. Man, I don't want to call you Dan. Mr. Man, you are one of 5 interviews I'm doing today. So I don't know what the hell I'm doing. We all know Kincaid's not that bright. I just like to have fun as a fan. Now, for me, I just take on these interviews because we're all in the quarantine thing here under the biodome, if you will. And
right.
I just started doing these so I could reach out to the men and women that I've acquired friendships with and networked with and stuff like that, and maybe to get their stories out. And that's what this is really about. I don't know what the F I'm doing. I go off at the cuff. I don't write a stupid thing down, and I just ramble a bunch. If you notice, I kind of ramble a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, a fan coming up to you, and I know it might not be the easiest, but a fan coming up to you, hey, Dan, Mr. Man, I do this shtick. Don Kincaid here, center ring, Kincaid Files, and I know the center ring and yourself have an attachment. We'll talk about that.
Right.
Do you mind if we do a quick promo? I just try to get some cool raw reaction. You never blinked. You didn't even, again, we probably knew of each other acquaintance wise and through the shows because you keep your eye on everything. But you were very gracious with your time. You never have ever said no to me. And you're a guy who's a big, giant villain, but you keep that villain alive throughout the entire course, no matter what. You like that interactive stuff with the fans. Is that correct on saying?
Yeah. You mean like during like intermission or something like that, or?
Yes.
Yeah, I really don't interact too much with the fans during intermission. If you want to see me after the show or you see me catch me before the show, it's fine.
Okay.
I see a lot of guys do that, and to me, there's no, you're not any different than a fan to me, you know? So with me, you see me, you know it's me. And then all of a sudden I'm gone. They're like, oh, that was Dan the Man. That was Dan the Man. I'm not gonna chit chat with everybody. And then I'll come out, I do my thing. And then if you catch me as I'm leaving, that's fine, you know, small talk here and there, whatever. If you catch me at the bar or whatever, that's fine. But during mostly intermission, sometimes I would try to come out, but now it's like I'll have somebody do my merchandise or whatever. But I try not to mingle. I want you to catch I want the aura to still be there. So I never like to do too much.
And that's
but I do interact. But I do interact when I need to.
Yeah, you do. And that's why I bring it up, because I usually don't see you at the intermission, and it gives us that mystique. I think what you're striding for. And
yeah, that's it.
And in all honesty, it's working, because it's like, you know, where the F is Dan the Man? I want to do a promo, or I want to, you know, or whatever, but you always have somebody working your table. And now that we kind of got that out, it totally makes sense to have that question mark surrounding your character, your visual character, if you will. Dan the Man, has that always been? I am so hoping there is some funky name like Sugar Boots or something. Has Dan the Man always been your original name?
It was when I wrestled at one company. I was Dan Jones, and I hated it. They're like, no, you're Dan the Man Jones. And I'm like, Dan the Man Jones, like SD Jones, like okay. But you know, I didn't like it, but I ran with it. I was like, I can go with this. But then, you know, when you get promo pics and you get this and you get that, I just stuck with Dan the Man. I just changed the last name, you know, because I was Dan DTHE, and then I just changed it to DE, like in demand, but just demand.
Yeah, because there is a Dan the Man as a wrestler out there, and I'm sure you're aware of that.
There's probably plenty of them out there, but I just changed it. I just changed my last name. That was it.
Yeah. Dan DeMan. So it would be, you said, for demand, like in demand.
Right.
Man, that's some clever ass shit right there. And I just thought it was short for the, or like, you know, just a different slang of the. So now we know. Did you see that, boys or girls? We just learned that it's not demand, it's demand. Still haven't blinked, still haven't moved your lips. You are a wizard of power. I don't know what the hell is going on here.
I'll tell you a secret. It's probably, you know, I know there's a wellness program, but since we're in quarantine, maybe it's the cocaine. That's the reason why my eyes haven't blinked.
I've done Kokana, and that's not what I look when I do the Kokana. I will tell you that right now. Now, maybe the devil's lettuce.
Kincaid, I have to say something, Mr. Kincaid. You did make me laugh. I remember at Survival Championship Wrestling, you did interview, I guess the man in charge there. And the first thing, he was like, "What's wrong with you?" You're like, "I'm on cocaine." I'm like, "What the hell?"
Oh my God. Those are the things that that happen so spontaneously at wrestling that they never leave. Those are those little moments in history that I love to kind of put in the pocket of my one little brain cell and always remember. And that is one of them, sir. I'll never forget that. That was an amazing promo. I love it.
Yeah, you got to give him that shock value, because now he's looking at you like, what in the hell?
And then he fired his assistant because I made my way into his aura and his bubble, if you will. So he fired his assistant over that. So I apologize to Patty or Sally or whatever the hell their name was. My condolences. I am so sorry.
Was it a woman? Was it a woman?
Well, we're getting to that.
Oh, okay.
And yes, it was a woman, his assistant, because he, he's actually he's actually fired too, because I had Mr. Falvo on not that long ago, maybe just 2 days ago or so, and I wasn't supposed to get through to him, but I crept, I stalked. I mean, I got my way in there, and so she's fired now. So I am sorry, and I feel like a jackass. I have gotten 2 assistants of under Mr. Mike Falvo fired.
Oh.
So speaking of women, and this is definitely a topic I have to bring up because it seems to be a very not a focal point, maybe a focal point. When when you go, oh my God, when you come out and you do your promos, you trigger the crowd on many things, but you really, really, really trigger the crowd when you talk about how women should, make pancakes, make babies, and stuff like that. I think it's hilarious because I know it's wrestling, but I also feel that shock value, because now you're like you're bringing a little of, I'll use the word demeaning, but it's still that little shock value, and it just makes the blood boil. And my goodness, Dan the Man, where in the world did you come up with that bit?
It started with one woman back in the day. I think I was wrestling at UWD, or actually it was EWA. And I came out, and this one woman would she hated me. So I just picked on her. And it was that love-hate relationship, which I just come out, and she knew the minute she knew I was coming out, she booed. So I'm like, you know what? You should go home and make babies and pancakes. And I would walk away. And then all of a sudden the bulb went off. I went, wait a minute. So I had a bigger show. I said it to I basically set them up on Mother's Day, where I, gave them gifts and everything. And then I went, okay, now I need you to do this. And now when you go home and make me some babies and make me something, and the crowd hated me. And it's not the fact that the women hate me or the kids hate me. It's the fact that certain men, I call them white knights, the men that defend the women, they get riled up as well. How dare you say about this woman? So now, we're in that era where, women's rights and all that stuff. So I just, I'll just attack and attack and attack.
It's funny that you mentioned that it doesn't trigger only the women or the children or whatever, because, oh my goodness, you are so correct. Dudes will get up and just start firing off at the gums at you for that. It's amazing how you utilize one thing for, a direction against, the women, but it affects the entire crowd. It's just, you, my friend, you have this wit about wrestling. It's some kind of thing that I don't see, and I don't want to even say many wrestlers, and a very few amount of wrestlers. I'm getting back to that woman thing. We are not letting you off the hook on that one. Okay. But the magic that you can bring on a dime, off the cuff, is something that, again, I'm going to use the phrase lost art. You are our Ric Flair, and I know Ric Flair is the greatest, and I'm not going to, but I have to use that because Ric Flair is always Ric Flair. If you see him at the convenience store, if you see him at the bar, if you see him walking from the car, if you see him at dinner in a restaurant, he is always and forever Ric Flair. That never stops. You, my friend, are the same exact way. And what brings me to the comparison is they say, the word kayfabe, it's kind of tossed around a bit in wrestling. I always have said, are the top in our scene that keeps kayfabe alive. Can I say that is correct?
That is correct. That is absolutely correct. Let me see. You won't see me mingling with somebody who I don't like like the fact that you're wearing a nerd T-shirt. I don't like him.
Oh.
I don't like him.
You know what?
I won't.
You keep talking, and out of respect, I'll take this off for the champ. So you keep talking, and I'll be right back.
Yeah. No. You know what? Yeah, never mind. You do your thing. There you go. What the?
Whew, that's better. Okay.
What in the hell? You set me up. You set me up. You set me up. You have the nerve to wear that shirt, that T-shirt. You should throw that one. Should get burned.
Blue shoes. Love blue shoes. So anywho, where were we, sir? Oh, kayfabe.
I don't know. Yeah, kayfabe. Yeah,
Kayfabe.
with that horrible T-shirt on. She's holding my championship. You know, whoever designed that T-shirt should be shot. They should be shot and tranquilized and given to Carol Baskin. That's what they should be doing right now. Freaking whatever. Okay, let me get myself back in order here. The fact that you. Okay, so
Kayfabe.
we're talking about kayfabe. Yes, kayfabe. Yes,
Kayfabe.
I do my best to keep kayfabe alive, no matter what. Yes, I'm calm now.
Okay, sorry. Well, not really. I love blue shoes. Now, the kayfabe thing, very lost art to keep it rolling because the curtain has been pulled back over your eyes. They haven't effing moved. You're scaring the shit out of me. The curtain over the years has been pulled back little by little by little. The fans, they think they know wrestling. I don't like to think that I know wrestling because whoever says that they think they know wrestling don't know fucking wrestling. That's just me. PSA. I don't do them very much. But the kayfabe thing has been a lost art because of the curtain continually being pulled back. Why would you, with the evolution of wrestling, want to keep said kayfabe alive like you do?
Because the way I do it, it's now, like everyone sees me as this bougie, like you say, like almost like the Flair, like the bougie. Do I like to spend money on nice clothes? Yes. Do I go to the restaurant and only want the best seat? Yes. Do I, if I don't get the service that I want, do I speak to the manager? Yes, I am. Let me speak to your manager. Do I brag about the things I have? Televisions, video games. Yes, I do. Do I have a tortoise that costs $500? Yes, I do have a tortoise that's $500.
What the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing with a tortoise?
I love exotic animals. I love my exotic animals. So you can call me exotic Dan the Man. I have a tortoise. I plan on getting a giant lizard. I can't get a Komodo dragon because they're illegal to have. I can't get a giant snake anymore because I don't feel like getting attacked. But yes, I love exotic reptiles. That's a fun fact for Dan the Man. I love exotic reptiles, so you can call me exotic Danos.
Well, these are the things that we wouldn't find out at a show because we never get to talk to Mr. Dan the Man. So these are the things why I do stir in the pot, Mr. Dan. I am not calling you exotic Danos by any stretch. Now, if you could maybe look like exotic Joe or whatever the fuck his name was, real quick, like, and maybe do a social media post, I would call you exotic Danos at the next show. But until then, I don't think so. But now I want to get back to the woman kind of portion of the program because you have had wow, holy shit, history, and I'm going to start with one Ms. Joanna Robinson. That has been a ride, a holy hell of a ride and a half, might I add. There's been some hands on Dan the Man, but there's also been hands on Ms. Joanna Robinson, which I might say started the hands on Ms. Joanna Robinson, which retaliation later on down the road, hands on Dan the Man, which was a blast for us, the fans. We love that shit. But then she got fined $5,000 from the GMIC of Texas Strength, Alex Rojas. Bullshit. Holy cow. Could you just take us up to that point? Because we're going to get into Lone Survivor 2 after. Could you take us up to that point where you go up to Joanna and you're like, hey, this is a bit that I want to kind of get rolling. What do you think? And she's on board. Like what?
That's no bit. It just, No bit at all. It was, this is what I'm going to do. And that was it. No bit. No
No
bit,
bit.
no storyline, no bit, no storyline. It just kept going.
Wow. So she got fined $5,000 for real?
Hey, I don't do the business part. I demanded that, I spoke to management and I needed something done, and that's exactly what happened. You can't put your hands on talent. Do you understand that if something happens to me, that the TOS stock goes down? You can't do that.
Well, not everybody would agree with that, but I do know who would agree with that is the GMIC of Test of Strength, Alex Rojas. And I know we're bouncing, but we're going to get to some more,
Mhm.
we're going to jump into some blue shoes after. But the GMIC of Test of Strength, one Alex Rojas, he has sworn up and down, there is not a person, not in the United States, not, in the entire planet that cannot take that belt away from you. He doesn't know what to do for an opponent for you. He's just lost. He has no clue what to do, who to put in front of you to take that strap from you. And every time you win, which is cool what that Texas Strength does, is the GMIC, he comes up and he puts the strap on you. It's a very cool old school thing. I love it. I absolutely love that portion of the program. But the GMIC, he hates when he has to put that strap on you. You have a very odd relationship with the GMIC. Could you talk to us about the fans, about that relationship with GMIC?
I'm not the GMIC's favorite. He didn't like the fact that I became champion. He doesn't like the fact that he has to put the championship around my waist. He doesn't like any of my actions, no matter. But just to let you know, and to let the people who be viewing this, no matter how cruel, no matter how violent, I do it for the TOS fans. I do it for you. You may not like it. You may not enjoy it. But at the end of the day, I do everything for the Test of Strength fans.
Hmm. Do you feel that correlation with the fans? And I know I've heard it before. Without the fans, there's no us. But without you guys, there's no us at the same time. But that correlation that we talk about, the package that makes wrestling go round and round, uh, it's a vital dance that we all do. Uh, and obviously we see it with the no crowds right now. Are you currently watching what's going on right now with the no crowds? Do you sit and watch
Oh,
like
yeah, I watch it. I watch all of it. I watch WrestleMania, I watch the AEW and WWE stuff and all that. And I just watch it, and my hat's off to them. They're still trying to entertain for the millions watching at home.
Mhm.
So my hat's off to them.
Is it something that you'd be comfortable trying to pull off if you had to?
I wrestled in front of 3 people. I can wrestle in front of
Oh,
nobody. I've done it before. It's no surprise to me. It's no shock to me.
well,
So
I speak of the correlation between music and wrestling a lot on this show because I have done the music bit for a while. We played all the Motley Crue and White Snake and all that 80s hair band shit. And the correlation between those two is I've played at one guy sitting at the corner of a bar for 3 full sets. One guy, the 5 of us, one MFing guy. So I can feel your pain. Um, doing that. Do you feel that music? Because I know you're a big music guy as well. Do you feel that music and wrestling have an odd mesh that goes in one hand to another on different aspects of it?
yeah,
Because
they do.
it's so crazy.
They do. Like, who doesn't like to come out to a live band? You know what I mean? Or somebody rapping to them coming to the who wouldn't want that? I would love to have like an orchestra, like a John Williams or a Hans Zimmer or someone perform for my ring entrance. I would love that.
Really,
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming.
Can you picture that? Can you picture John Williams doing my intro?
It would be huge. It would be huge. So I've never asked anybody. What's your go-to for music when you do the drives, if you will?
Driving wise, I pretty much listen to a lot of talk, but working out, it's a lot of movie soundtracks.
Movie
Or
soundtracks?
all movie soundtracks as I work out.
Really?
Batman, Avengers,
Huh.
but basically by the composer. Like I said, if it's John Williams or Hans Zimmer or whoever, like I basically, or if I like a certain anime song, I'll play it. There's certain rock songs or a lot of I'm versatile. 80s music is my thing. So you know, if I want to listen to Aha a million times, I'll just play it over and over and over again. Or Rick Astley, Never Gonna Give You Up, Never Gonna Let You Down. You know. You know, I'm an old school rap guy, but all this new school rap music, you know, I try to listen to it. If it's a nice catchy beat, I'll listen to it. You know, I don't do too much country, no, but mostly like when it comes to rock, it's mostly Metallica. I'll still play that. I'll play all Metallica. I'll play Metallica all day.
Wait a minute. Hit the Pahooze button. Boys and girls, did you even ever expected to hear that? Dan the Man would listen to Metallica. Dude, that's my go-to. Metallica is my shit. It used to be Zeppelin when I was growing up, but then Metallica came in and kind of changed the game. Not that any other band.
You gotta play Zeppelin. Zeppelin's a car ride. You gotta play Zeppelin on a car ride. You can't play Zeppelin in the house unless you're cleaning the house. You start with Zeppelin in the beginning, but Zeppelin's a car ride. I'm talking like a car ride to like North Carolina or something. That's what you gotta do.
Please, I am so very curious. What are some of your favorite tracks from Metallica? I am very intrigued now.
Master of Puppets, one.
Holy but
Justice
Jesus.
for All.
Wow.
What was I forgot the other one. Is from their was it the Black album or whatever?
The Enter Sandman, if you will.
Enter Sandman, yeah, but what was the other one? Sad but True.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sad but True.
That is totally
There's a couple. I can't name them all, but every song, like, I'll just play them all. So, but like I said, I can switch from Metallica and then go right to playing Sade. But then I'm like, nah, I got to turn this off. I'm getting depressed.
Oh, man.
And then to really get everyone, I'll start playing Tiny Tim just to creep everybody out.
Wow, that is kind of creepy.
I'll play Tiny Tim. I'll play a lot of Frank Sinatra. Then I'll play a lot of Al Green. So,
wow,
I'm very versatile.
Yeah, all over the spectrum, if you will.
Yeah.
Your theme song, where and why? What's it all about?
I'm a big cosplayer, so I do a lot of Comic-Con and stuff like that. So when Black Panther came out, my hair was growing long. I'm like, I'm going to do Killmonger. So I come to the ring with that. So, and of course, I'm always Shazam because I'm a big Shazam fan. But then the movie Us came out and the character and the song caught my attention. And I was like, I got an idea. So, of course, at the first Lone Survivor, I came out with the creepy mask and the scissors and the red jumpsuit and my eyes looking like all, crazy. And I wore it and I was like, that was great. And then the music went along with it. So now when people hear the music, they know, oh, that's Dan. He's coming out. So,
That music, again, that's Dan, because sometimes you hear music at a show and it could be from show to show and you're like, wait a minute, isn't that, someone, blah, blah, blah's music. And then you're like, oh shit, no, that's his music. Your music is very specific, very geared to, like you said, that it's Dan the Man's music, because as soon as it hits, a couple things happen. A lot of people eyes roll in the crowd. A lot of people go, oh shit, not him again. I'm usually that guy. And then You get guys like Foggy that will just start screaming, cheer for me, or whatever he got going on. You have such a great mixed reaction when you come out. It's amazing. But that's what wrestling does. It affects different people different ways, just like, anything else in life. But you being such a crazy over the top villain and what you portray and what you bring to the table, you get such a mixed bag. And like we were talking about people cheering for you and stuff. Not everybody boos the heel like they used to back in the day. Do you feel that's even something that's lost within the fans? Like,
it's basically like the movies. It's like the movies. Like, when you go to the movies and you see the bad guy and you're like, oh, here he comes, but he's the bad guy,
Mm-hmm.
like, for me, like, I watch a lot of movies and I don't cheer the bad guy, but you like the bad guy, like I watched Gladiator, and it was a Caesar. To me, he was the greatest villain, like when he went to go up to Maximus and he was getting ready to kill him, and the crowd was like, no, no, no. And he's looking at the crowd like, no, I'm the good guy. You're supposed to love me, but he was a villain, of course. Then you got the Avengers, Thanos running around and getting the stones. He was the coolest villain because his dialogue was just so cool, there's so many, like for example, like Freddy Krueger, Jason, they're supposed to be villains, but everybody pops or goes crazy when they kill someone. No one cares about the teenager. Like Leatherface running around with a chainsaw. You're like, oh, there's Leatherface, but you're not. It's the character. That's basically it. If you're you characters stand out more than just the average run-of-the-mill person, So.
Well, I guess, because I've wondered that over the years in the evolution of wrestling, because it's like, we're supposed to boo the bad guys and we're supposed to cheer the good guys. That's the way I was brought up on wrestling. That's the way I grew up on wrestling, So the evolution, you just got to kind of roll with the punches. And it's kind of weird seeing the good guys sometimes get booed and the bad guys sometimes get cheered. It's just odd for me over the course, but you got to roll with it. You got to roll with the punches and evolve with wrestling,
Right.
Do you find yourself evolving? Is it hard to evolve, or is it just very easy for you because you keep your eye on such a pulse of everything? Because it does move. It kind of changes in chunks, if you will. How promos are done, how movesets are thrown out, what the younger kids are doing in the ring. There's so many different things that evolve in wrestling. Do you find yourself just moving with the times?
I do, because I'm pretty much, we'll just say I'm the oldest person in the locker room, by millions of years. So I have to keep up to date with all the younger guys. I go, what's happening right now? What's happening? What's going on right now? I'm not closed myself. What's going on right now? Oh, this is what the kids like. Okay, this is what's going on. Whatever. So I try to keep up to date with what's going on. Like, I have a team of children, not in a bad way, but I'm like, yeah, what's the new thing that's going on that you kids like? And they go, oh, we like this. Oh, really? I jot it down and I run with it.
That is part, and the effort that it takes to really create a solid character is very hard. Without the effort, perseverance, and obviously sacrifices that it takes to do in wrestling and be a wrestler, it's very hard to progress and to get to another level. Now, you've said you've been in the game for a bit. We see your character. It's very driven. It's very on point. Is Dan DeMan comfortable in the independent scene, or is Dan DeMan, does he want to go to a different level and be on the TV and stuff? Is that kind of where your goal is?
That is a goal of mine. I mean, who wouldn't want to be on TV? Like, I strive for that as well, as long as anybody else. But I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable on the independents. But if I got the opportunity to be on TV, oh, you bet I would go all the way.
Now, hypothetically, let's have a convo. from me to you, still haven't blinked your fucking eyes, scaring the shit out of me. You get the call. You're going to get signed up to the performance center, and they know what you're about. They know your gimmick, but obviously because they're very, very PC, you're going to have to change some shit. Might even have to take on a totally different name, different gimmick. Are you willing to do those bends? Because now all men and women, they want their creative control.
Oh, yeah. If they say, hey, we need you to be this, okay, sure, no problem. As long as I'm able to, just show them what I can do, that's all that matters.
Because guys get out of it like the Dean Ambrose and such because they want that creative control of how they cut a promo, what they're wearing, how they can walk down to the ring. So it's a different animal when you get into that.
It's two different places. If you're talking WWE and they hand you a script, they're like, well, I normally don't like scripts, but I will do it. If it's AEW and I got the creative freedom, then I'm going all out there too. It's just no matter what environment you put me in, I'm going to do my best.
Now, seeing guys that we're all familiar with, like, and I'm going to use Private Party for a very good example. Seeing the younger guys like that, Private Party, jumping up, getting on that stage like that. How do you feel seeing those men and women getting up onto that level like that?
Oh, I'm happy for them.
Now, you've shared locker rooms with them, and I'm going to say, not just Private Party, for example, just many men and women that we all know that have kind of gone on to a different level, being that TV platform, if you will. But I'm going to say, and I'm going to go out on a limb here because I see the respect that Danos gets from the back room, from behind the curtain, the locker room. Could I really just say that you're a locker room leader by design? Because it seems like you are.
No, I wouldn't say locker room leader. I just think more like I would consider myself more of a father figure or a mentor or something like that. I wouldn't say locker room leader. Okay. I'm the guy. If you want to come to me, I'm not going to shoot you away. Like, hey, you want to talk to me? Let's talk. I'll give advice. So, I'm the Morgan Freeman of the locker room.
Oh my goodness, I'm never gonna forget that. Dan DeMan is the Morgan Freeman of wrestling. Holy cow, or the locker room. That is awesome. Oh man. Now, I would kind of like to get back to Blue Shoes. Again, we jump. I'm not that bright. Blue Shoes, you've had a history with Joanna Robinson that kind of took on a life of its own. But in the meantime, referee Gina has come up, and man, what a referee she's turned into. Getting some really fantastic work at some fantastic companies. And you and her have now built a history of sorts, and we don't know where that's going because we're on this whole kind of lockdown thing. But we will, and I cannot wait to see what the hell is going to be coming in the future. Between you and Ref Gina, you've had some very physical encounters. One was a running knee, which was, oh my goodness, for us, the fans, that had to be one of the most amazing things we have ever witnessed, to see Ref Gina give you a running knee. And I know we're talking, and I hate to, kind of come down on you as we're talking, but you still haven't blinked your eyes. You haven't moved your lips. So I'm just trying to do the best I can. When you get involved in a storyline like that with a ref, now it's very physical. You're totally down for that shit. You're all about that, aren't you?
Whatever it takes. But I have to say that she stole my spotlight because all I see is video clips of me getting kneed in the face, pictures, knee in the face, another picture, knee in the face, slow-mo, knee in the face. Not my championship win that night, just me just getting kneed right in the face. Not cool at all.
A moment in history that we will never forget, we will love forever. Now, maybe it did get upstaged a little bit, but that's what we the fans do. We just kind of run with stuff. Is it kind of hard being out of your control when the fans kind of take over a little bit like that?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. It's pretty much it's planned that way. It's planned that way. It's not like, oh my, what are you doing? No, when the fans, that means they're so involved.
Hmm.
So how can I be mad?
Hmm.
You know?
Now, you think of the future a lot. Do you have this Dan the Man character built up in stages, or you just run with it as it goes?
I have like type of plan set up for the character and see where it goes. Nothing's written in stone. We just see how it goes, but I do have tons and tons of ideas of where the character is going.
Hmm.
And as you probably see, is that now that the Danaman Danos character is now dealing with the women of TOS nowadays, you know, so now it's a whole new story. And we just got to see where it goes
Hmm.
with the Evie De La Rosa. Then there's supposed to be an event with my favorite girl, Bam Bam, but, you know, and then I've got Masha, some chick pulling trucks. That both been like a 6-man tag, but you know, I mean, they can push trucks and do all this stuff, but I'm still a man, and it's gonna need more women to try to defeat me. So, hey, you know,
Lone Survivor 2, I want to revert back to the Blue Shoes thing because her and Joanna Robinson, they were both handmaids, had no clue who it was. And you guys being Evie De La Rosa and Dan the Man, were in the a heated, very, very heated, no disqualification match. And as this was going on, I really wanted to find out who the hell was under those costumes for the handmaids. So I go rolling over there with my camera as it was still running, and I'm recording the match. But I kind of went to the handmaids and I'm like, Don Kincaid here, Senator Ricky K. Fowles. I'm here with the handmaids. What the hell is going on? I was waiting for one of them to break, do something, say something. Neither of them broke. And I was really hoping for a little bit more information at that point. But that match itself took us on one hell of a ride. And it ended up with the handmaids being Joanna Robinson and Ref Blue Shoes, Gina. And Joanna gave you a low blow. Ref Blue Shoes gave you like a stunner or a cutter. I'm trying to really envision it, but either way, it was fantastic. And then we thought you were going to lose that championship, but you came out on top. You're still the champion. You're still Danos. You snapped your fingers. Everybody disappears. Shit like that happens. I'm sick of it. We needed to get a new champion. But my whole point being is, uh, could you talk to us about building a match with a female in a no disqualification match? Because, and I know I'm not taking anything away from anybody. It's got to be a little bit different to plan something like that with a female in there. Is it not?
no, not at all, not at all.
Oh.
Basically, if you seen the match, her fighting me one on one would have been impossible. I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty much close to 200 pounds. She's 130 pounds. I know they say it's wrestling, but at the same time, I like to put realism to it and a great story. Um, by her having the advantage of using weapons to punch me with chains and beat me with crutches and beat me with chairs and belts, she had an even fight, you know. But the match itself was not that hard at all. Not that hard at all. You know, I can't go into too much detail,
No,
but
no.
the match itself was very, very good. I think that most people did feel a little uncomfortable at certain points, you know, like towards the end, but I hear the crowd. I hear them. So they enjoyed it. Were they shocked at the ending? Yeah, you know, because Dan the Man always has a backup plan. There's Team Shazam is okay. And of course, you know, we saw Evie fall off the top rope and boom, she got beat.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Uh, Now I know we don't like, again, we like to pull it back a little bit. We don't like to dive too deep into it because again, we like that mystique of I as a fan, I like to be surprised. I don't want to read the dirt sheets for the major companies. I don't want to know what's coming ahead at the next event. If I have some friends at Tessa Strength and Battlefront and other companies. I love being surprised as a fan. Are
So
you?
do I.
Yeah.
So do I. I hate dirt sheet. I hate all that. I'm like, whoever is running to let everybody know who's winning or who's losing or who's leaving a company, they should be fired. Whoever these people are should be fired. I like not knowing. Like I said, I don't want to hear, well, so and so's leaving, he's going to this company. I don't want to know that. I don't want to know. I don't want to know behind the scenes. I want to know what's going on the television and right then and there. That's about it.
Mm-hmm. So you seem to be a very active, avid fan because, again, you have to watch and keep an eye on a pulse. But not everybody that's in the business is always like very, very high on watching all of the product or as much as they can. You're right there. You seem to love being a fan of wrestling.
Yes, of course, I'm the biggest fan. Yes, I am a fan of wrestling. And like I said, I don't like to hear if someone's leaving a company because then when you see them wrestle, it's like, oh, we already know he's losing the belt, like, or he's losing this match and or whatever. And then we're going to see him next week on some other program. Like, I don't want to know that. I just want to be shocked. Like all of a sudden, oh, shoot, what's he doing here now? That's what I like. I don't like to read or hear the Meltzers or I don't want to hear all that. I don't want, no. I listen to it, but at the same time, I go, oh, I don't want to know that.
Mm-hmm. I am right there with you, sir. Being a fan of wrestling, it's a difficult task with the internet. But I mean, the internet has its ups and its pros and cons for, across the spectrum of arts, if you will. Do you find that right now? Because before the internet, you had to push yourself a different way through mail, through tapes, through this and that. Do you find that it's been detriment or uplifting for wrestling? The whole
what do you mean with the internet? Yeah, the internet has helped out a lot. It's good and it's bad, but it's definitely more good because now it's like you get more content out. With social media, with Twitter and Facebook and all this other stuff, especially YouTube. Everybody's putting their YouTube out. You can make movies, you can make wrestling, and do everything you need to do. So now they get to know you. You do little segments and little stuff like that. And people follow it. Like, hey, I saw you on YouTube. I love your work, and now you're there. So you get that fan base through that. So, the bad part is, you get the people that want to expose things or, want to call people out on things. And that's how they get their jollies, But, hey, it is what it is with that. But on the good part, like I said, without the internet, the social media and all that, most of us wouldn't get out there. And people see it. You never know who's watching you.
Fogman has always said that. To me personally, because I'm like, I go, who the hell is gonna watch my stuff? I'm just a dude with a phone. He goes, Kincaid, you never know, kid. You never know.
Yeah.
Now, you and Fogman, oh, go ahead, sir.
Oh no! I was gonna just tell you, like, when you start doing your stuff, it's the first thing everybody goes is like, "Where's Kincaid? Where's Kincaid?" So kudos to you, man. You're like the Jimmy Olsen. I call you the Jimmy Olsen of wrestling. You gotta get that. You gotta get that story. I gotta get that coverage. I gotta get that interview. That's you.
I love to have fun at wrestling.
I know I'm throwing a lot of old school Superman right there. You're Jimmy Olsen, but I couldn't think of anybody else.
I think I just get caught up in the whole thing, and it's taken on a life of its own, to be honest with you, somehow, some way, little by little. And always 1,000 times, if it happens 1,000 times, I am always thankful 1,000 times for your men and women's time, because being at a show, you don't always want somebody doing stupid shit in your face like that, you know. And again, it's a different day and time. And I say thank you. You know, you guys and girls never have to say yes, and you always do, which is amazing for me. And I just have a lot of fun with it. And which has brought me to go on some center ring action with Fogman. He started seeing me at the shows. He started seeing my clips. He started throwing my clips on center ring. And then, holy shit, I'm sitting next to him on public access. I've never been on a camera before. I went on as cold as F. Center ring. Could you talk about your relationship with yourself and Fogman? Well, what's going on right there? Because it seems to be a nice, a timely relationship.
Well, I don't know what year I met Fogman, but Fogman collects toys. I love toys. So he would just be handing me like certain, you know, Black Adam figures or Deathstroke and stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, you know, but like I said, I've known Fogman for years. I just don't know how long, but I've known him for years, you know, and we chit chat here and there, or we'll do movie reviews, or I'll tell him, yo, check this movie out, you know, or this, you know, this DC animation, or, you know, whatever. But yeah, we've got that good rapport. So
He cheers for you every single time.
yeah.
Yeah, pisses me off. It really does.
I think we had more fun when we used to do PWA, because I would sit, you know, that those shows. I don't know if you've been to PWA. If you have, I probably didn't see you, and I apologize. But
Okay.
those were the shows where it's more of a, there's storyline, there's good and there's bad guys, you know, but at the same time, it's like sectioned off where it's like, you know, I'll sit in the crowd and do my own commentary for matches when Fogman's recording, and I'll imitate Dr. Smith. I'll be watching somebody like, oh dear young boy, you know, and stuff like that, and he just cracks up. You know, I'm doing Lawful Space, you know, so, you know, and we'll just do that. And he'd be like, Mommy loves you, and we just sit there and just laugh it up.
Now, I was at the PWA towards the tail end of their tenure, right when they started going to every other Friday instead of every single Friday.
Okay.
I was there basically for the last year, and I ended up being sitting right behind in the second row of Fogman and the Schluters, Ron and Jake. And God, they would stand.
He was right there the whole time. See?
Yep. I kind of went through that transition, and I've talked about the PWA on the show before, but boys and girls that don't know, very small, intimate setting. It was about 30 chairs maybe or so, a small room, kind of like a Test of Strength, it reminds me of a lot, but a little bit bigger.
Right.
And it had a ring with about 30 chairs. And to the left were the good guys. On one side of the ring, they would line up against the wall. Not very much room in between the ring and the wall, might I add. Over to the right side were the bad guys, and they would line over there. They would pick random numbers. So it could be Nathaniel Carr picking number 3, and then Dan DeMan picking number 7. You never knew you never ever knew who you were going to face when you got in that ring. The fans didn't know. Maybe they did know. Who the hell knows? But from what I'm together, they didn't even know half the time. So the PWA was a fantastic, unique environment that I've never been able to be part of until then. But Mr. Dan DeMan, PWA, they are coming back to CT. And I know there's a lot of shit going on, but they're coming back to CT, my man.
Yeah, I heard. We're getting the band back together.
Yeah.
I heard.
You are going to be all over that, I would hope, yes?
Oh, yes, I am. Oh, yeah.
Now, you were the champion in there. You had one Mikey Fabulous right to your side every single time. Could you talk to us about Mikey Fabulous? Because I don't know a whole lot about him. If you could, please, sir.
He was the mouthpiece and he was the GM and the mouthpiece of all the villains. So it was, I mean, he was hated due to the fact that he could change the rules perfect example. I don't know if you were there. I had a field day of always beating on Nathaniel Carr. So I made it that if anybody tried to save Nathaniel Carr, I told Mikey, I was like, Mikey, if anyone comes in here, tell them they're suspended, they're fired. And he made it happen. So I can just keep beating on Nathaniel Carr so no one can save him. And they hated him for it. You know, he was also involved in a ladder match. I don't think that worked out well for me or him.
Now, there's some familiar faces that we see in Test of Strength, PAPW. When PWA went out, there wasn't the students that were there. They needed places to go, and they've kind of spread from here to there. You're actually very active in ring sometimes with some of those students from PWA. And I mean, you're seeing some of these kids right now, like Elijah Six. I would love to hear your thoughts on a kid like Elijah Six that went from a PWA student. PWA closes. He finds Test of Strength. Now look at the kid. Could you please talk to us about seeing a student like that? Because you were there a lot at PWA. Seeing a student like Elijah Six go in that transition.
I didn't pay attention to my nephew, Elijah Six, at PWA, but I do see the progress and I see the change, and I see him as a champion sooner or later. I see he has it. He has it. He knows how to get the crowd. They hate him, you know.
We do.
He's not trying to be nice to anybody. I see him as a future champion. Not during my time, not right now, you know, but in the near future, he might be a champion. You know, but he has it. Elijah Six definitely has it. A lot of people get mad saying because he's the GOAT. Hey, look, there's people that call themselves icons and this and that. You know, I'm the face of the company. If he wants to be the greatest of all time, then guess what? He is the greatest of all times. Who unless someone knocks him off that, so be it.
I have to agree with everything you said, unwillingly, but he has a great talent, good character, good with getting us to really hate him. Because, I mean, let's be honest, he hates us too. We have that relationship. Now, seeing him evolving as a wrestler is really special for me as a fan, because now I didn't know who he was at PWA, but then I got to learn about him at Test of Strength, obviously. Now he spread his wings. He goes to PAPW, walks in the door. People hate him. Right off the ripper, he makes people hate him. He's, like you said, he's got that it thing going on. But he's kind of got involved with a whole faction, if you will. And I hate saying the Firm. I really do, but I'm going to have to say the Firm. These four guys have come together: Richard E. Stone Esquire, Jay Bricks, Sammy Diaz, the Ace, if you will, the jacked ones, police, and, you know, the GOAT already, Elijah Six. I see that you do Team Shazaam. Do you like seeing these factions built like that and making them solid and strong and being able to present them from company to company like that?
Yeah. I see the Firm, and there's not one weak link in the Firm. Not one. And I'm like, wow, these guys got it going on. It's almost like the Team Shazaam. Team Shazaam, there was multiple members, and every member had their own thing going on. I see the same thing in the Firm. And a lot of people don't like the Firm. I like the Firm, you know. You got everyone has their own thing. You got Jay Bricks. He's the silent type, but he's the muscle. You got the brains. Not saying that they're all dumb, but you got Richard E. Stone, you know. Mm-hmm. Then you got Sammy Diaz. And then you got Eli, you know, Elijah Six. You know, so they're all doing their thing, and individually they all do their thing. So it's like, you know, and combined. So if they're 8, you know, they can do an 8-man tag, they can do a 6-man tag, they can do tag team. It's like, you know, they're the 4 horsemen of Test of Strength or any other company you go to. So,
wow, we just got a comparison from DeMan who's in demand, the Four Horsemen and the Firm. That's very, you know what? I kind of like to try to ignore mostly Richard E. Stone. So I always thought there was 3 of them. But now that you pointed out there's 4 of them, it's actually not a bad comparison. They all have their own thing. Their ring. That Richard E. Stone, my goodness, never saw his ring prowess. Man, that kid is phenomenal in the ring. Love his character. We like to call him Smurf. That's a blast. Love calling him a Smurf. That is so much fun. Now back to Blue Shoes again, because there might be a suspension from GMIC in the future.
Mike, there's gonna be a suspension. It was a setup. It was a setup. I supposed to have my handmaids. I don't know what happened. Joanna Robinson's gone. There's got to be some repercussion because you cannot. They almost cost me the match. So,
Well, but they didn't.
They almost did. What happened if that snap that Gina hit me with, and God forbid I lost my championship to a woman? It'd have been catastrophic. Yeah. No.
So you're pushing for the suspension, are you?
Oh, I'm definitely pushing for the suspension. Look at my eyes. You see my eyes? You see my eyes. Look at my eyes.
How can I not?
I'm dead serious. My eyes. I'm dead serious.
You're such an ass. They haven't blinked in an hour and 35 minutes. Oh God, I didn't mean to call you an ass, sir. I take that back. Oh my God, I retract that. So, oh my God, I would.
It's okay.
Please don't hold it. Okay. Whew.
Okay.
Wow, I just called Dan the man, and oh my God, I would. What the?
I've been called worse.
All right. Hey, cool. Wow, that kind of freaked me out. I didn't realize that at first. ACW. I really want to talk about that company because never been to an ACW show, and wow, I cannot even describe the environment that was. And I guess I'm going to have to describe it because even I think from some of the fans, some of the wrestlers that were on that said show, the environment in that Palisades Center was like a WCW Nitro. Wasn't that show something insane, man?
Oh, it was crazy. When you walk out and then you're looking at the lower level, and then you realize you have to look up all the way up to the 4th floor, and you're like, all right, this is going to be some fun.
Now, the crowd came out in droves. It wasn't like the bottom level had some seats and there were some people there. The bottom level had plenty of seating. There was people standing all around us in the seating. Everywhere around, you could look up, and it went into a like a big giant skylight, if you will, with the American flag hanging down. And it was a square setup. And all the way up each floor, there were people draped over looking at. There had to be a couple thousand people there. I mean, easily. Am I wrong on saying that?
No, you're not wrong at all. It was basically the entire mall. They stopped shopping. They stopped going to all the stores, and they looked down, especially when I came out. I came out a couple of times, but when I came out, saying that I'm the champion, they all look like. Then I come out again and defend the Test of Strength Championship. And by the way, just want to let you know that I am the real ACW champion. Despite what everyone is saying about Kenny Bango, I am the real ACW champion.
Even ACW says that Kenny Bango is the real ACW champion.
Listen, we're talking to lawyers. I know you weren't there, so I'll give you a little history. Basically, It was a tournament. Mm-hmm. I made it to the finals. They said that Kenny Bango forfeited, but for some reason he came wounded leg, and then we had the match, and he was counted out. So officially, if you are counted out, you lose the match. So I should be awarded the championship. But for some reason, Mr. Kevin Apollo and other people said no. An argument happened. I turned around. I was kicked in the face by Mr. Kenny Bango. And then 1, 2, 3, they declared him the champion. That was foul play. I was screwed. No. So, yes, did I attack the general manager and beat him with a chair after the show? I lost my cool. Yes. Did Mr. Kevin Apollo pretty much throw me and tell me to leave? And yes. So right now I'm talking to my lawyers, talking to their lawyers, talking to the athletic commission and all that stuff, and we'll get that situated.
You brought somebody with you at ACW specifically. She goes by one Liz Savage. She was kind of holding on to the strap while the champ came out in his beautiful robe, might I say, like Ric Flairish, going to revert back to that, if you will. The beautiful feathers. It looked gorgeous. I don't see that very often. Where did that come from? That robe specifically? Then we'll get into Liz Savage.
The robe comes out on special occasions when I need it. Not all the time. Big shows. I'll wear the robe.
Mm-hmm. Seems sensible. You make it the special entrance, so that makes sense. Liz Savage, she likes to do some dirty stuff for you, like low blowing like a lead singer of a band, or funny stuff like that. I'm to understand that Liz Savage has been in the game for a bit, but I'm not familiar with Liz Savage much. Could you talk to us about to us, the fans, about Liz Savage?
Liz Savage has been in the game for quite some time. We've had some interactions back in the day, ECPW, and then she went off and did her thing, and then we got back together again when she came back. I think during the summer I met her again in Bridgeport. I did a show in Bridgeport where I defended the championship again, and I met her there, and then we just kept in contact. But she's been around. I think she's done Lucha Underground, and she's done some other stuff with a lot of people. So, I mean, she's been out there. She's got the miles in, pretty much,
She seems to do the fun stuff without hesitation. Again, and such as a low blow to a lead singer, if you will. That has to be a lot of fun for you too, to be able to, okay, there's a live band there. Now you guys have kind of interjected a singer, a band member being the lead singer from the band. You put him as part of the program to have some fun with maybe the local people that know the band or what have you. Do you like doing those extra little things to bring in, again, it does have more eyes on the product. Do you like when you do kind of stuff like that? You're bringing in a lead singer, Liz Savage, giving them a low blow. You have some fun. You kind of walk away. Then you come out and defend a championship. You like that kind of stuff?
Oh, yeah. It mixes the two. We get more fans, the way I see it. Like there's a rock band. They have their fans now. They're intertwining with the wrestling. So now their fans see them in the ring, and good or bad. It's like, oh, so now it's like, a rock and wrestling type of thing. You know what I mean? So now they definitely we just acquired more fans. So
I don't know if I'm gonna get this out of you, but I really enjoy, and I don't know how many people you drive with or if it's just by yourself all the time, but we're gonna find out. When you do the drives to the shows, I like to see if we can maybe get a funny antidote story, like a ha-ha kind of road story, if you will. Does Dan the Man drive with anybody at all, or does he just go on the road by himself? And if you do travel with some of the other men and women, could we maybe get a little funny ha-ha story out of you?
Yeah, sure. Normally I have a driver or limo driver or a driver or my handmaids drive. But if I'm on the road, there have been times maybe I'll decide to get in the car with one of the boys, and let me see. So many stories. No,
I can imagine.
Let's just say
your eyes tell a story right now. So
I think it's the one funny one where after partying all night and partying, I was with one of my buddies, and a little bit of the
Probably.
a little bit of something, you know. I'm driving and they're like, "Hey, I gotta go pee. I gotta go use the bathroom." I wouldn't use the bathroom because I was in fear that if I go urinate in public, that seagulls were going to attack me. In the pitch black darkness, in the woods, seagulls. I'm going to get attacked by seagulls or squirrels. They're going to run up and grab me while I'm using the bathroom.
Ooh, man.
So that's a message of saying no to drugs, kids.
Those extracurricular activities, man, they really hit you. They really hit you hard, huh?
Yeah. Just say no to drugs, kids. It was somewhere in PA. All I know, I was in Pennsylvania somewhere, and or I got one more for you.
Yeah, please.
I was on a show with Jimmy Snuka. It was another show in PA, and the fans hated me. I said so many things and called them rednecks and trailer trash and all this stuff. So we're driving to this bar, and I'm like, man, where are we? We're in the Boondocks. The name of the bar? The Boondocks.
Oh, my God.
And boy, did I stood out like a sore thumb when I walked in there.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I don't know the town, but it was the middle of nowhere, and I walk in, and you heard the jukebox just go off. Like, Arr!
Oh, God.
Like, oh, boy. A lot of cowboys, a lot of cowboy boots, a lot of cowboy hats, and here I am walking in there wearing a suit. Yeah. So
I've kind of been in the same predicament. Snowing, blizzard. I was 17, didn't know the roads at all, and I wanted to go see Megadeth and Dio with my boys. But yeah, I had no heat in my fucking car, so we just drove and looked through the little slit of cold air that would make the opening. Very dangerous, by the way. Don't do that, kids. We were doing some extracurricular stuff too, and what I thought was a road was actually a car dealership driveway, and yeah, shit didn't work out very well. Again, say no to drugs. Take in the man's advice, and I you know what? I'm very glad that you shared a story or two like that, because I kind of didn't expect you to, maybe give us a little something. So that was pretty cool. No.
Yeah, I do a lot of I did a lot of partying after shows. I mean, there's always a party after my show. I mean, whenever I win a championship, there's an after party, and I defend the championships, there's an after party. I invite certain people. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes they're just private,
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
Defending a championship. You've been a champ for 1 year at Test of Strength plus 1 year plus at Test of Strength. Defending the championship, and I'm kind of curious because of you've been in the game for a bit. Do you feel this nervousness when you come out to the ring at all still? Because I know when you first start up, you have a focal point. I need to be safe. I need to be safe for my opponent. I have these spots I have to do. Your brain kind of starts tweaking on you a little bit, and you get these butterflies and the nervousness about you on a performance. I did it as a musician. Do you still get a nervousness when you come out?
I'm always nervous before I go out. And the number one thing is, it's not about moves. It's not about whether or not I get hurt. It's whether or not am I getting the reaction that I set for the match. If I go out there and there's, I want to get that. I want to feel that emotion from the audience. If I don't get that, then I did something wrong. So far, I've been doing quite all right with that. So, but the nerves are always there. It's always about the performance. Like for example, from my entrance to the time I'm done, I'm like, okay, this is the goal of what I need to do. But my main thing is the audience and making sure that what I'm doing out there is is they're feeling it. We're all connected at that moment. I got their attention. That's my main thing. Moves don't matter to me. They don't matter. It's the my presence. So when I'm out there and you feel, whether get them, if they're like that, and at the end, do I get your attention at the end where whether I win or whether I lose, it's like if I lose, are they up on their feet? Aha, you good for you. Or when I win, it's like you son of a, and they clenching their fist at me. That's the reaction that I want.
How long did it take for that connection? Because hearing the fans, reading the fans, and then counteracting and giving us, like you're saying, you read it and you feed off of that. Somebody's on their phone, you F with them. You got a baby? I'm going to hit up that baby. How long did it develop to develop that craft? Because that's not an easy thing to do as a wrestler.
When I first started, I pretty much try to imitate what other people were doing, and I realized when I started hanging out with more of the vets, they were telling me, like the guys that made it to WWF at the time or WCW, or OVW, they were all telling me, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. And then I watched a lot more tapes on guys who cut promos or guys how they would work and everything else. And I took every time someone would give me advice, I keep it in my head and I just run with it. And I go, yeah, I remember they were telling me this. Oh yeah, they were telling me that. Oh yeah, they were telling me this. And then within like maybe my 4th year in the business, it finally everything clicked in. Because I was wrestling at a place called OTW, Old Time Wrestling, up in Williamstown, New Jersey. At the time, they were called the Monster Factory, but then it changed. And I was wrestling there like every week, where it was basically an old school environment, 2 separate locker rooms, heels, villains on one side, maybe face good heroes on the other. And you just go out there and you just go. All you knew was how the match is going to end, and you just keep going. And sometimes you're wrestling 20, 30 minutes, tag matches, you're going 45 minutes, and you're just going. So going to that place and being there for so long, like I said, within my 4th year in the business, I finally started to get it. And then I just started to evolve more and more throughout the years.
It's not an easy thing. So for a guy who brings a character like you do, who speaks very easily and can adjust on the fly, to hear that it took a good 4 years to make that adjustment, these are the things that I talk about on those boys and girls. It's not an easy task. It doesn't always take, you could train in the ring. Training in the ring is only an aspect of it. You still need so many other parts of it. And again, I'm not here trying to preach to anybody, because I am no effing wrestler. But listen to Dan the Man. It took him 4 years to develop something, a part of that craft, and within being a wrestler. So it doesn't always come easy. You have to persevere. You have to keep pushing forward. You have to make those sacrifices and do the drives. Like, as I've talked to the men and women on this show, you have to do those drives and help with, I'm going to bring up a point, Mr. Man, is doing the drives, going to a show. How can I help? Can I help you set up the ring? Can I help you take down the ring? Can I put up the chairs? Could I sweep up for you? If you need a spot, I'm available. Is that something that you still do nowadays?
Not too much. I mean, I help out any way I can, but like setting up rings, no, I really don't do too much unless the show has to go on. Then I will just take off my expensive suit and get dirty just to get the show on the road. Basically, if anybody needs help with something, I don't mind not helping. You know what I mean?
That's cool. And he does walk in with some pretty fancy dancy clothes and jewelry. So I can understand not wanting to, kind of do that stuff, because, hey, he's the face of the company. Speaking of companies, I want to revert over to Battlefront, because you've got this whole governor's thing. You've led the charge, and there's been a couple member changes over the course of the governor so far, but not Dan the Man. Dan the Man is in charge, leading the way, and boy, You talk to the fans at Battlefront like we are your stepchildren. Holy but Jesus. What's the governors? Could you take us on a ride? Because for those of us that do know of Battlefront and the governors, I'm sure they're intrigued to kind of figure out what the hell the whole governors thing is about. For those that don't know, please listen in because, man, it's been a hell of a ride with the governors.
Well, the thing with the governors is that I was brought in to change up Battlefront. So they gave me High Voltage Omar, they gave me Jimmy Mees, and they gave me the psychopath of Len Oddity. You know, and then as time goes on, you know, I made it clear that it's not the fact that we're taking over. We just wanted Dan Gore to work with us and take half of everything. So just let him, if he wanted to beat people up and do all that hardcore stuff, he can do that. But you work for us. You do what we want you to do. And then, of course, a little defiance came in because Dan Gore and I do not get along, you know. So he tried to rally his troops, and it seems that, you know, do we have interchangeable members of the governors? Yes, we do.
The governors,
like I said, the crazy one, but he's gone. You know, he did his thing. Omar is going. You know, I'm losing my connection here, so I do apologize. I have a poor connection.
That's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. You know, then we brought in Chris Cannon, and you know, but at the end of the day, as long as I'm still around, anyone could be a governors as long as they follow, you know, they're following my cause of what I want, and I want half of the championships, the fans, and all that. And it's slowly getting there. You know, there was some situations that you know, we acquired some tag team championships, and yeah, Jimmy Mees dropped the ball. You know, and then I kind of went crazy and destroyed like 11 people in the ring. It's just a small price to pay, you know. But when the world comes back to normal, you know, hopefully we can go right back to me terrorizing Dan Gore and the rest of the Battlefront fans. So,
you joining up with Len Oddity was a total mind F to me, because I would have never expected Len Oddity and Dan DeMan to be on the same team.
I know, right? we're the odd couple. He's, you know, I'm champagne and he's kerosene, you know, but
oh shit! I just took Dan DeMan for a ride. Holy cow! I'm so sorry.
Yeah. He's one of those people I have to go visit in some type of weird place, and you know, with the rest of the, you know, his freaks and stuff, and it's like night and day, you know.
Have you guys ever crossed paths in the ring, like against each other as opponents?
We have. I believe he hit me with a bowling ball at one time.
Nice. Oh,
a swinging bowling ball, but you know. It was a match to his. It was a 4-way match. I know it was Len. I know it was Big Jim Sullivan. It was shoot, I forgot the other guy's name. I'm sorry, kid. But all I know, I got hit with a bowling ball, and you know, hardcore is not my thing, and I'm stapling Len in the head, and you know, we got tips. You know, they tipped us, you know, some fan put money in me, you know, but hey, you know, Len's he's my psychopath. So, you know, like I said, I'm champagne, he's kerosene. So,
hey, I sometimes that's what it takes to kind of make the fam work, you know. Speaking of fam, oh shit, I did it again.
You're
I
right
have,
there, Don.
I have like a 27-cent setup over here. It's very atrocious. You would laugh your ass off if you actually saw what this was set up on. I do have some new stuff coming in, so hopefully that'll be soon because I've already taken Dan DeMan on 2 rides. Holy shit. Speaking of fam, I kind of wanted to get back to Elijah 6 because you said he was your nephew and he calls you Uncle Peanut. What the hell is going on there? Uncle
That's an
Peanut?
old school. He calls me Uncle Peanut. He's my nephew. I don't know. You know. He says I barbecue. I don't barbecue. I have people to do that for me. I don't like to cook, so.
That cracks me up every single time he pulls that out. Uncle Peanut will make me stop, drop, and cry like a kid. Dude, I love that shit. We were at a roast, actually. It wasn't a barbecue. It was kind of more of a roast. That was fun. Indeed, you were actually there, and you were at that roast. It was a lot of fun on some of our ends. You were laughing because we we took turns sitting in the middle and getting roasted, like literally fucking roasted.
Oh yeah.
Those little soirees, if you will, on the off days, or that one was specifically a little roast post training day. Do you like those kind of gatherings with the boys and girls?
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know, they're not meant for everyone, but you know, it's like you and Fogman, you're always welcome, you know, and a couple other people, but we just can't have everybody. But you know, they're fun.
I enjoyed every second of it. You guys just cut promos after promos after promos on each other, which for me as a fan, absolutely hilarious, every single one of them. And I probably laugh way too much at some of them, but you know what? They just crack me the F up. You guys sitting there cutting on each other left and right. I think it's just some of the funnest shit I've ever been part of. And I got to see Elijah 6 burn the shit out of his mouth with the hot sauce while his girl was just taking it in stride. That was a good time. We had a blast with that. But, you know, Test Your Strength, I find a special heart for it, a special place in my heart for Test Your Strength. You have a relationship, but I'm sure that kind of goes a little further back than some of us realized with Slick Wagner Brown. Could you, what the?
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Sorry.
Wow. Could you talk to us about Slick Wagner Brown, please?
Slick Wagner Brown and I've known him for a long time, but we never really like crossed. We've been in locker rooms together, you know,
Okay.
but we really never really interacted as much until like I started coming out to the New England area. Like he was doing stuff in Jersey. Like I first saw him at a Jersey All Pro show when I was still training, you know. And then I saw him at a couple, and then we was on shows together, but he was working with somebody else. Like we never wrestled each other. So it was just like, I see him, hey, what's up? Blah, 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 and do whatever. And then when he decided to open up the school, I was like, you know, I got to be part of this. I want to be part of this. So, you know, I joined up with him, and pretty much the rest is history, you know? So, you know, he's got a good crew of people, good students and everything else. And pretty much, you know, I go out there and do my best to make Test Your Strength get the eyes on the product.
Fine job you do at that, might I add. The intimacy of a room like a training day at Test Your Strength. Do you find that a little nerve-wracking because we are so close to you, men and women, and the ring right there? Does that bother you at all? You're like, F yeah, I like this really tightness.
Yeah. It gets that bond, like, because you guys are there and we're here. So it's like, hey, look, we're all in this together right now. So therefore, as long as you're leaving talking about us, that's all that matters, because now you leave, and when we get a bigger show, guess what? You're going to come to that bigger show, and you're going to bring more people with you. So
seeing Test Your Strength evolve over the course, watching them go from training days to doing the road shows has been amazing for me as a fan, and just amazing even because I dove a little bit deeper into test of strength. I've gone to a couple practices, by invite only, obviously. Gone to a couple
Right.
practices. I've been to a couple seminars down there. Just incredible. Nunzio was there. Uh, I love seeing the evolution of a company. Never really been part of it like that. That's got to be very special for you as being like really a part of Test of Strength and seeing it evolve and getting to these bigger road shows. And the very first one, Fight for Your Dreams at the Deuce, that thing was so sold out that they had to turn away like at least 100 people. That's got to be very touching for you, no? As a
Yeah, it
performer.
was. It was. It was all that work that we put in, all that work. And when I peeked through the curtain, I saw that all those people. I was like, we did it. We did it. Like, wow. And then it's like, can we do it again? And I'm always nervous when we do places that we're always at the Deuce. I'm like, how are they going to be? How's the crowd going to be? And every time it's, what the hell's going on back there? You got some type of paranormal activity going on?
It's your eyes, sons of bitch. It's your eyes, man.
You got something ghost. But anyway, as I was saying, whenever we do stuff at the Deuce, it's like that's like the big show. That's like these shows where you gotta go all out. You gotta go all out. My mentality is I need to have that shock value from my entrance to my match. I need you to go home talking about me. I don't want to just go out there and just I'm just going to wrestle. I don't just wrestle. I entertain, and I put you on a roller coaster ride of emotion. So,
and that is what really makes Dan DeMan stand out. It's the character. Like he said, the wrestling is part of it, but the character itself is really what makes Dan DeMan stand out. It's what he brings to the table vocally. It's what he's wearing to the ring. And it's not just the trunks. It's not the boots and the kick pads. It's the robe. It's the red jumpsuit with a mask. I mean, for crying out loud, you're going to be Deathstroke in a cosplay wrestling event. That's going to be, we'll see what everything going on, where that goes. But there's a new company that's coming up that is doing full cosplay stuff, and they're bringing in the likes of Spider-Man and Deathstroke, and the names go on, and Green Lantern, if I'm not mistaken, but I can't even remember them all because there's so many right now. But you're going to be playing Deathstroke. I'm very curious. How does Dan DeMan become Deathstroke in this new cosplay wrestling promotion that's going to be up and coming?
It's real easy. I'm a big cosplayer. I already have the suit, so I just watch a couple of things here and there, and pretty much interacted with the wrestling, and pretty much the fans will eat it up. I've done it before. I was Reverse Flash at another show, and it was, thank goodness it was all children with their parents, and they ate it up. So I was Reverse Flash versus the Flash, and of course Reverse Flash won. So
well, Reverse Flash, if I'm not mistaken, was a bright yellow Flash, right?
Yes.
Wow. A bright yellow Dan DeMan. I can't see it. I don't know.
Yeah, I wore a mask. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, from my point of view as a fan, you seem like you are having an amazing time playing this character of Dan DeMan. Am I correct on saying that?
That is correct, because there was a time I was not having fun. For a certain company, I was not having fun because it was one of those things where it's like, it was, I kind of like blame myself for it because I was stuck in this rut where I was like, well, this is the way I work and this is the only way I work. I didn't adapt to their style. And because I didn't adapt to that style, I was just going out there and it was the same old. And I was like, I would try to like throw ideas like, hey, look, can we try to do something different? Well, because every time I come out there, they're all going to expect the same thing. I'm going to come out here, my music's going to play, I'm going to wrestle this person, and then I'm going to lose. Like, can we shock them? Can we shock them a little bit? And they knew what I was capable of doing. They knew I can draw heat, but I guess because everybody was wrestling a certain way and I wasn't, I was stuck in a certain rut, and so I wasn't happy. And it was only once I wasn't wrestling there anymore, I realized I got to have fun. So that's when I changed everything up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, if I changed it there, maybe it would have been fun, but I was my own worst enemy. So I was in my way. But then once I left there, I realized you do got to change it up a little bit. And then it became fun again. So now, every time I go, I only got so much time and then I'm going to stop doing this. I just keep having fun. And the company, everybody around me is like a party. So it's like, you don't want to leave the party. So you're like, I'm going to have more fun. I'm going to be creative. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Let me see if I get a rise out of this. Let me see. So it just keeps going until I can't do it no more. I'm having fun right now.
Now, we couldn't tell, us the fans, we couldn't tell very much because your eyes have been a blank stare for 2 hours, 10 minutes, and 10 seconds. But your facial expressions are absolutely fantastic. I love them. Absolutely do.
It's the buggy eyes, I guess, right? It's the buggy eyes.
Yeah, because the mouth, like when you're surprised over a 2 count or something stupid that has happened within match, your eyes get really big, your mouth gets wide open, and you give us this unbelievable, I cannot believe this just happened moment. And you make it so believable, though, that we feed right into that and we laugh right at you. Those are those little things that you do that really sets you off from many other people in wrestling right now, sir. And I absolutely applaud you for those little nuances that you add, and the facial expressions, the words you say from show to show, never the same twice. Maybe the pancakes and the babies and stuff, that's one thing. But other than that, you don't recycle a lot of material, and I have to give my hat is off to you, sir, for always trying to be creative every single time you walk in through those curtains. And I thank you as a fan.
Well, thank you. I mean, who else? You're interviewing my stunt double. So, I mean, who else has this type of interview? You're Mr. Kincaid. You are interviewing Danos, and I have not blinked my eyes. I have not moved. Have you noticed that? See that? This is an exclusive.
Not only is that a point and a fact, but I've been talking to I'll just put it right out there again. It's a plastic doll for 2 hours and 11 minutes. I'm the fucking idiot that sat here and talked to a doll. Not an idiot, because I've got a lot of information out of DeMan. But I mean, look at me. You and Jeff Dunham have a very the most professional thing. You don't move your lips at all. How the hell do you do that? I mean, you and Jeff Dunham are money when it comes to that.
Yeah, it's a talent. You see that, right?
Man.
Maybe I'm talking to you telepathically. That's what I'm doing. I'm talking to you telepathically. So,
okay.
That's what it is.
But we do see such a beautiful piece of art in front of us. I have been kind of making fun at it here and there, but it is a beautiful, and might I add, a genuine, one-of-a-kind piece of art. Could you describe to the fans who made that, sir?
Oh, the Danos,
Mm-hmm.
the one and only Dave Cole.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Cole made this. He's made a few for a lot of people. I've seen let me see. I'll say it. Ugh. I saw a Jiggy Sosa one. I went, what in the hell? Why? But I saw that one, so that's the one that caught my attention, and I was like, someone should just throw that in the trash. But hey, shout out to Dave Cole.
No, for real. Dave Cole does amazing work, and he does these cool little custom Funko Pops, if you will, or Pop Funkos. I don't even know what the hell the name of them. Funko Pops, if you will. How does one? Did you reach out to Dave Cole? Did Dave Cole reach out to you? How does a beautiful piece of art like that come about?
A gift. This was a gift from a lovely fan, and next thing you know, I turn around and I have, so.
Really?
Yes.
A fan gifted that to you, commissioning one Mr. Dave Cole, because he's out in Colorado now. That's no easy task to get him to do work.
Yeah. Yeah. And this was created for me,
Wow. So. I really thought that was like a self-present kind of thing. I did not expect a fan to have, wow, that kind of threw me a little bit. Interesting. When we get back from all of this mess, because we do know it's going to happen, in what capacity, don't know yet. Hopefully we can little by little really get out there and have some fun in the wrestling environment. Do you have, and I know, again, you've been in the game for a little bit, do you have any specific, because you own a championship right now of that Test of Strength champion, the GMIC has no clue who to put in front of you to go against you to defend that championship. Do you?
Well, let me ask you this. Hold on. Let me ask you this, Mr. Kincaid. Now I'm going to ask you the questions because we're saying that there is no one that can beat me. Who do you have in mind? Who would you like to see me wrestle to defend the Test of Strength championship against?
Well, there's actually a bunch of names, and I know that this is going to throw you for a loop because he's a really newer wrestler, if you will. You're associated at one time in the Governors with Chris Cannon. I would love to see a Chris Cannon versus Dan DeMan. For whatever reason, I don't know why my mind thinks like that, but I really think that you two could have one hell of a match. Could it be for the Test of Strength championship? I don't know if he's ready for that kind of a high profile match. But man, I would love to see him under pressure and see how he would work going against Dan DeMan in said pressured match. Those are my thoughts.
Okay. Didn't think of that one. That's a good one. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Again, out of left field, I probably threw you right there because he's a newer guy, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It takes a mental preparation to get in there with me. It's not just I'm gonna wrestle you. You got to be mentally prepared because it's a roller coaster ride wrestling me.
Absolutely. Now there is also, I know you and Jimmy Mees have something going on. I don't know what the hell it is. It's kind of your relationship is dissolved or kind of had more of a rocky road than it probably should have. I think Mr. Mees was actually maybe just saying, I don't quote me because I don't know shit from shit. I think Mr. Mees was actually maybe wanting to get in the ring with Danos. I'm not sure.
I don't know with Jimmy. We've had our ups and downs. He was contractually obligated to associate with me at Test of Strength, do whatever happened at Lone Survivor 2. I don't know what's going on with Jimmy right now, so we'll just have to wait and see. We'll just have to wait and see.
That's cool. Another Test of Strength mainstay, Ryan Frost. He's never called you out, but I know he loved that Test of Strength championship.
Yeah, Ryan Frost, another one. He's a good guy. Like I said, I see. I'm like, okay, I can say okay. It's just, could they be that guy as of right now? No. But he's good in what he does, but to my level, maybe sometime.
What if a guy like Mike Skyros, the brand new K1 trophy winner, the K1 Kowalski Classic, if you will, he is one hell of a talent. What if a Mike? I can
see a good match with. I can see a match with Skyro. I'm not knocking the other guys, but I can definitely see a Dan DeMan versus a Mike Skyros. I can see that happening. I've seen this guy moving up and doing things, so I can see that.
Would you ever think that Test of Strength would do And again, this is really cool about the K1 Classic, Kowalski Classic trophy, that they treat it like a championship. It's not like a yearly thing that they do, or a tournament. This is a cool thing because they use that trophy as a championship. What if Test of Strength had this wicked, crazy, out of the box idea? The heavyweight championship, the K1 Classic trophy holder, they go against, could be a double run, a trophy and a championship. What would you think of something like that?
Well, I wouldn't make it a trophy versus a championship, because the Test of Strength championship is the #1 championship to hold.
No, double. Like you're a holder of both.
I would like that, but just to beat him and take the cup, that'd be nice to have. But do I need it? No. The Kowalski Cup is a cup. It's a stepping stone. So if you hold that cup, you just made your mark, which is great. I'm on the top of the food chain. I'm the champion. I'm the Test of Strength champion. I'm the #1 guy of the company. So, would I would like to have that cup? Sure, I can hang it up and post it up on the wall, and all my other trophies and all my other stuff. I would love to do that. Because I love championships. So I'm addicted to championships. So I wouldn't say I wouldn't want to take it from him. So,
What if Kenny Bengal comes into Test of Strength, looks up the GMIC and says, hey, I'd really like to get me some Dan the Man, and that championship is beautiful. What would you say to something like that?
Oh, I would welcome Kenny Bengal to my world. I mean,
Really?
that's money right there. That's main event status. That's main event money. Kenny Bengal, Dan the Man. Mm-hmm. If anyone hasn't seen Kenny Bengal, you definitely. I mean, I know we don't see eye to eye nowadays, but if you see Kenny Bengal and you see Kenny Bengal do his thing, you would definitely want him on your show.
Mm-hmm. That's a fact, Jack. Full show. We've also got guys that are like the HOG. You have Evander James. I think you and him would have a great matchup.
I've wrestled Evander James a couple of times. We've had some very good matches. So, yeah, I can see that happening again.
Wow. I didn't see. Again, I haven't been in the scene a whole lot of time. So, I don't know. There's shit I miss. But I'd still like to see it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to go in a different direction here. What would you say about going up a guy like Jay Bricks, upcomer, student right now? Can't really say student right now because, man, he's got he's found his way about him, if you will, a little bit here. What would you say if Jay Bricks would, and I don't think he would ever do this, but I'm just kind of hypothetically, want to challenge you for a Test of Strength championship match? What would you say to Jay Bricks?
I wouldn't turn him down, but I'll have to do a lot more homework on him. I know he got a good right hand. I do know that. I know I got a little bit of, I like to do my research on all the talent, because do I have contingency plans for half the members of the locker room of Test of Strength? I do. But at the same time, I like to study everybody, weakness, strengths, everything. So I wouldn't turn him down. I wouldn't turn him down at all. So,
all right. A name you mentioned earlier, one Karen Bam Bam. Would you ever defend a title against Karen Bam Bam? Because you just went against Evie De La Rosa for that title. So, I mean, is that an option?
Karen Bam Bam has been dying to get in the ring with me, and she's a doll. But at the same time, I don't turn anybody away. It's an equal opportunity. I mean, it's more money on the table for everybody. But I would have to treat her the same way I would treat any. I wouldn't want to do it because she's a doll. But unfortunately, I have my saying that sacrifices have to be made, and I would have to pretty much put her in her place.
Wow. Well, I've given you maybe 5 or 6. What if you give us, the fans, just one name that you would like to see across the ring from you in a big, high-profile championship matchup? Now, I've gone with names that we've known. You could go out of the box if you want. That's totally up to you.
I really, honestly, I thought about that, and I don't have anyone in particular. The only thing I would say is the person that I would love to wrestle is the one that can bring in more butts in the seats.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically it. I want a line going all the way down the park and all the way down the street to see this match. That's the guy that I would like to wrestle.
Man, I'm going to have to do some thinking on that one. We're going to have to poke around and I'm going to have to jot some names down because I would imagine seeing that at Test of Strength, just a line of people flowing. Imagine that, Mr. Man. Holy cow. That would be amazing. Mr. Dan the Man, you could probably sit here for another, I don't know, 2-3 more hours easily. Because
we've been talking for a while, and I got to have brunch soon.
I know. And I have an interview coming up at 2:00. We're getting a bunch of the fans together, and we hang out and talk some of our favorite men and women on the scene, some of our favorite promotions. I get like 8 of us in one Skype. It's a little crazy, but man, do we have a blast.
Yeah, I've checked that out. It looked quite interesting.
Yeah, and I bring in a special guest every single time we've done it. This is going to be our 3rd sitting. And I have yet a special guest that I don't tell anybody, especially the people that are on the show, the fans that's coming in. I want to have a little, like last week, we brought in Alex Cypher. Oh my God, was that a blast? So with all of that being said, though, you have shared way, way more than I ever expected. I knew you were going to give me some time because you were like Kincaid, set aside 6 hours, and there was no way that I could do that. So I set aside a few hours from One Day in the Man, and we have talked many. And again, I don't even know if I've even remotely scratched some of the surface of Dan the Man because I've never really been able to sit and talk with them. But for these 2.5 hours, I think us, the fans, have gotten to really know a little bit more than we ever expected about Dan the Man. Again, haven't blinked one time in 2 minutes, 26 seconds and 2 hours, 26 minutes and 5 seconds. Hasn't blinked.
Willpower. That's willpower, my friend.
My God. I would have broke probably, I don't know, a minute and a half in a game. I would have so broke. That's the difference between me and Dan the Man. So, Dan the Man, I cannot thank you enough for your time here. I do hope that yourself, the family, you all stay safe through this whole COVID. Never mind. The whole COVID thing. This has been truly a blessing for me because I got to really dive into Dan the Man's career a little bit, and it's been amazing. And I thank you, sir.
I thank you.
I don't know what's going to happen in the future, who's going to be across that ring. I've named some names, and I know I probably could have named some other on with a higher rate to them, if you will. But everybody, I love everybody in wrestling, upcoming, veteran. I don't give a crap. I love all you men and women, and I want to see you all succeed. And that's what this thing is all about, is getting us to know you guys, getting your name out there a little bit more. Hopefully it's just not my dad and his dog watching this episode. That would be amazing. Right. If it is, I am sorry. That's my fault.
Let me just say one more thing. I just got to say one more thing. Let's throw something. You had a couple of interviews. My name has been dropped a lot by a lot of people. So to a Brother Greatness and a Big Cal, just those guys need to learn their place because you don't want to deal with me. So they've gotten my attention by constantly talking. Mm-hmm. And I know Brother Greatness and we do not get along. And Big Cal, I know he's young, but he's also dumb. And, I know he's upset that I have Johnny Chill under my wing, but it is what it is. But I didn't forget about those two.
Hey, and also I wanted to add one more name. There was a King Leon, the Black Blade. He has wanted to say hello to Dan the Man because he's a big fan, wrestler or not. He's a big fan of Dan the Man.
Well, I am also a fan of the King as well.
Transition, as we were talking about the evolution. He's going from King Leon the Sixth to King Leon the Black Blade. He's killing little by little. We're seeing him kill off King Leon the Sixth. It's a painful transition. I hope he makes it through, because you and him, you had a good tag team match. That was really fun, man. How was it having him in the ring?
It was great. It was great. I've watched this guy. I've seen this guy, and I'm entertained by him. Like I met him in Boston. He was doing something, and then I watched his videos, and he's such a, he's a great character, and he just caught my attention. I told him, look, I love your work. That's all I kept telling him. I love your work. I love your work. And then we got to work together, and it was great. We got chemistry. We can do this all the time.
Test of Strength, please bring that back. We need to revisit the Dan the Man and King Leon, if you will, the Black Blade. You can't forget the Black Blade part of that name. Danos, Dan the Man, Dan in Demand, however you want to put it. You have been an absolute delight today. I thought you were going to be angry, full of piss and vinegar, swearing a lot at me. I've swore way much. You didn't even swear once. I appreciate your time. Very precious to me today, sir. Again, thank you.
No, I thank you. You spent pretty much almost 2.5 hours talking to me. Well, talking to my stunt double. So, and I've done this because of the fact of the whole COVID. So therefore, we have our, social distancing right now. So you feel safe and I feel safe.
I felt kind of slighted, but that's okay. That's for another story. This is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid. And don't.
What? Yeah.
My snap really sucks. Don't you blink, because Danos is the man. And I will say that at any given event, Dan the Man brings us something to the table that nobody does. And I do mean nobody. He is a character all on his own. If you don't know him, look him up. Oh, before I let you go, all of the social media, how do we find you? How do we get introduced to Dan the Man?
I'm on Twitter at Team Shazaam or at Dan Ligula, not Caligula, Dan Ligula. And of course, Dan the Man on Facebook and Dan the Man 6 on my Instagram.
We need those handles.
Or Snapchat. Or Dan the Man on Snapchat.
Snapchat. I did want to get those out there, because we want to be able to find Dan the Man. We want to be able to have new fans check out Dan the Man, the Test of Strength, the championship itself. So without those, we would be a little lost. This was Stirring the Pot with my very special guest, Dan the Man. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.